Strap on your VR headset because we're about to transport you into the captivating world of Ghosts of Tabor. Welcome to Tabor Radio. Hey, welcome to the first ever episode of the Tabor Radio podcast. And just to introduce ourselves, we're the hosts of the Ruff Talk VR podcast, a separate VR podcast where we review a bunch of different games, interview developers, talk news. That's actually how we found Ghosts of Tabor and, the CEO, Scott. So on this podcast, we're going to be focused entirely on Tabor, on Ghosts of Tabor.
Yeah, us cool folk call it Tabor.
Yeah.
Or GOT. That seems to be the common.
Yes, capital G, lowercase o, capital T.
The reality is we played this game. We were talking about it way too much with ourselves. We interviewed the CEO, Scott, and it just got into our blood. We're like, we got to do more. There's, this is going to be a game that's going to be around for a lot of years. There's a lot of content coming, a lot of stuff happening constantly with it, a really vibrant community. So it seemed to make sense.
Yeah, the reality is with what we do with our regular podcast, Ruff Talk VR, we're reviewing a lot of games. So it's very rare that a game, we love so much that we don't drop it. Yeah. And we reviewed this one and we've never stopped playing. It's, every week we're putting in games, if we're both on, we're squatting up, we're playing Ghosts of Tabor. So it's a special game, both, in playing it and after reviewing it, it's special.
Well, and kind of getting a glimpse as to the direction it's heading, it keeps getting more and more exciting.
Yep. So to kind of go into it, this podcast, Tabor Radio, is going to be obviously all about Ghosts of Tabor.
No reviews of other games.
Nope. On this, we're going to talk a little bit about what the game is on, today's episode. We're going to be interviewing people from the team. In fact, today for episode 1, we actually are going to be joined with Scott Albright, the CEO, the man that we interviewed previously on the Ruff Talk VR podcast. And, we're going to talk what's coming next in the game, dedicated episodes on Q&As, tips and tricks. So there's a lot of fun stuff we can do. But today is kind of laying the foundation of what this show is. And I don't think there's anybody better to have on to do that than the man himself.
Yeah,
Scott.
Yeah. Oh, no, dude, I totally agree.
So whether you've played Ghost of Tabor previously, you've heard other interviews with Scott on other podcasts. This is going to be a little fresh. This is going to be also a great introduction. If you've never played Ghost of Tabor, you're going to know what's going on.
Well, I totally agree. Mm-hmm. And it does make it a little challenging because we have interviewed Scott before on the Ruff Talk platform.
We know a lot of people listen to that, so we don't want to...
We want to try to keep this as fresh as possible. So there might be some information that, you may have heard on numerous podcasts before that he's appeared on, but I promise you there'll be some fresh info as well.
Yep, and even if it has been said before, it's good to get it on record on the Tabor Radio feed as well.
Correct.
So
welcome to Tabor Radio.
Yep, and today we're joined with Scott, but we're going to hopefully get many other people from the team, and, I think we can have a lot of fun with special dedicated themed episode. So hang tight in just a second. We're going to get Scott on and we'll go from there. So we're here with Scott, the CEO of Combat Waffle Studios, and it's going to be great to have him on for this first episode to hear first off
this is the guy at the top of the totem pole for Combat Waffle. So
yes. And definitely has a little bit of a cult following on the Discord. People love to hear from Scott.
Dude, you could say that.
So unfortunately for him, it'll be great to have on this first episode to hear a little bit about the game. And most importantly, what's coming next. So Scott, just to get it on record, you want to introduce yourself a little bit for the listeners on this first episode?
Yeah, for those who don't know who I am, you're obviously not in Discord. And you're not a member of the House of Scott, which is much better than the Church of Fish. And I don't know. I'm Scott. I'm the CEO, man. I'm the idea guy, the creator. It's funny. Our chief development officer and lead developer Reynaldo, he calls me like the creative director, on top of being the CEO, because unfortunately every single idea has to go through me because I'm such a control freak. And I know what I want in a game, but we're getting away from that a little bit. It's the team we've assembled is coming up with some great ideas now, but I started all of this, like this was me, and I got to assemble this team of superstars. So it's me.
That's all. Sorry, keep going.
Well, for people who are going to discover this game first, this is a game still in development. probably one of the most popular games I've seen. I mean, I'm in the Discord a lot, and to try to even keep up with the firing of, like 50,000 members and they're all amped up every time something is said about the game or there's a change made to the game. So this isn't your normal, situation with gaming. I've just from day one watched this thing just go through the roof. So
No, and it only seems to continue to grow. So at this point, how big is the team working on this?
Well, the Discord's at 51.3 thousand members now, which to me is mind-boggling because you brought that up, how fast it moves. And I can remember when it was 20 of us in the Discord, and I miss those days so much. It's so big now, man. When we have our own team Discord now that's hidden, like we have a completely separate Discord. And if I go into our Discord and I go through a bunch of channels, my Discord will have to restart for me to go to another Discord. It's so big. Like it does it to all of us. It's miserable, but it's also amazing. But the team now, we just hired 3 new people. So we're right around 22, 23 people now, and we're still hiring. So
yeah, and you definitely have pulled together, I'll say, the rock star of, I've only seen a few studios take this kind of path to doing what they do, and they just grab the best that they can get their hands on. And you guys are definitely seem to be grabbing the best you can get.
Oh, and it shows.
We're trying to grab them, but we're also trying to support them, right? So if you look at Spoonfed, who came over from Swordsman, who's he's our senior developer underneath Reynaldo, and he had his own project he was working on, and we've talked about it multiple times. And I saw what he was working on. I said, dude, let me help you take this to market. Let me help support you. Let me use my money to help you grow as an individual, so you don't have to work for me forever. And you don't have to worry about your family anymore. You're set. And now that's happening too. So it's we're doing a lot. We're hiring a ton. We're going to have 3 games that we're going to have fully staffed. And we're not taking anyone away from GOT to work on the other games besides Spoon, because he's going to move over to Grim full time. And then, yeah, I mean, we're rocking and rolling, and it's honestly hard to find really good developers. It's been a struggle. So when we do find them, we don't wait. We don't hesitate. We grab them as fast as we can and bring them into the fold and just keep them as prisoners.
Well, that's how you get a game that it's important for listeners to know. If they don't know this game came out in under a year of development.
Yeah, which I don't care who you talk to, when they play it and then you hear that and you know it almost seems like an impossibility that you're getting to play this much game in that short of period of time, which is, again, just going to be a testament to what's going on in the studio. Because, again, that's not normal. Doesn't usually don't pre-release a game and have so many people this jacked up about something. There's a movement that's coming with this game. That's the future of it is going to be mind-boggling to me.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And in case anybody is unfamiliar, what's the kind of base lore of this game? This isn't a story-based game that you're going to keep playing for the story, but there is kind of an overwhelming, or
there's something going on in the background.
Yes, especially with the phoenixes and stuff like that. So you want to explain a little bit the rough outline of it?
Yeah. So, and we actually, man, it's so funny you brought that up. We actually, I had a big talk with one of my environment artists that's working on Maka Miest, the map coming out. That's based off Prague. And he was like, so what's the lore here? There's generators running and there's lights and well, who's powering them? I'm like, well, obvious to me, I would think that the Phoenix that you encounter are running these lights, but I'm going to say that we are Tarkov in VR, and who gives a damn about who's running those lights? There's just lights on. And I get people want a ton of lore, but we don't have a lot of lore. And I like to tease little things with Proper D, Duncan, who's our chief media officer, or our chief media director, and he does the doctor that you've seen in some of the videos. And there is going to be more of that type of stuff coming out. There's going to be a lot more coming in the future. But basically, there was a nuclear night. You had the Volk who threw over the Russian government. Oh no, everyone's sad. But one of our artists is Russian. I'm just joking. Throws over the Russian government, believes that human experimentation is going on. People in Europe, looks at the rest of the world, including the West, which would be the U.S., and says, you're all participants in this from advantage, covering up human experimentation. So they just declare war on the rest of the world. And at the same time, they're in the country of Tabor, at the Advantage facility trying to figure out what has happened, what they're doing, what's going on. And in the meantime, the UN has sent over the Ghosts, which are prior special operators, Rangers, Special Forces, Delta, that kind of stuff. And now they are just watching the Volk to see what the Volk are doing, keeping an eye on them, not engaging in conflict. But then there's a nuclear night and no one knows what happened. So everyone in Tabor is cut off from the rest of the world. There's no communications, no getting out. There are radiation hot pocket zones in the future and another map to show that there was a nuclear event. But then the Phoenix are the people of Tabor, which is a Slavic country. They speak Czech, just for those who keep saying they're speaking Russian, or it's definitely Czech. And the Phoenix are the locals, the local militia, basically, that are trying to expel everyone from their country and take back their homeland, including the Ghost and the Volk. And there's another faction that you'll see introduced in the future, which will be former Volk and Ghost who do not believe in the mission anymore. And they're called the Zero Foxtrots. It means zero fucks. That's what it means. And the Zeros will also be more up armored, more tactical, better gear, harder to kill, obviously, because they'll have better gear. And they'll be dressed like the Ghost or the Volk, but they'll be a part of the Zeros. So it's all coming.
And that's going to be an NPC player as well. You know, the players will...
NPC only, yeah. Where the Phoenix, you'll eventually be able to do Phoenix runs when you're broke and do those type of runs. We're hoping in early 2024, we're shooting for Phoenix runs. It's just we had to readjust our timeline because of something big coming and we can't talk about it yet. So we had to readjust our timeline and rearrange. So it'll be after the new year. You'll see the Phoenix runs will probably come out. And so when you're broke and you're down on your luck and you can't get any gear, you can go load in as a random Phoenix and be friends with a Phoenix and they won't attack you and just try to kill players and get their gear as a Phoenix player.
So you'll still be able to extract and leave with all the gear you've required as a Phoenix?
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
So we even talked about doing something, and I love the idea of it. And it's actually making it to where you could have three factions. You could either be Ghost, Volk, or Phoenix at all times. You could be a Phoenix player all the time. And then instead of doing a Phoenix run, you would do a PMC run, private military contractor run, as a Phoenix player, where the regular players, the Ghosts and the Volk, do a Phoenix run. So as a Phoenix, you would go in as a randomly kitted up PMC. Just random kit, whatever you get, and you're just a Ghost or a Volk randomly. And that's what you get to do, that type of run, and just sort of throwing a wrench or a little different from what Tarkov did, right? They only allow you to do scab runs. Well, how about you be a scab all the time? And now you get to go be a Phoenix, a Ghost or a Volk randomly. So we talked about it.
I mean, I'm selfish, so I'll say I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just,
Right.
I mean, anything I've seen change to the game is always for the betterment of the game, but it's like where this game is going is just, it's huge.
Mm-hmm. And that allows like kind of quick jump ins. You're like, oh man, let's just play around. You know, if you're able to switch the faction, you go in with a preloaded whatever.
Did I spend a lot? I spend too much time.
Yes.
Too much time to make it comfortable for others I'm playing with to like get like the perfect loadout of what I want to, what I'm willing to go in to lose.
Yeah.
And kind of speaking on that, you know, you say coming early next year or in the new year, are you able to talk a little bit about some stuff that's coming soon to the game? You know, like the fabled wipe and all of that new maps and that you've referenced previously, but you know, what's coming next to Ghost of Tabor?
Man, what are we working on? XP system is coming. Player leveling is coming. It's coming this wipe, which is going to happen this month in July. So if you listen to this after July, it's already happened. Congratulations. There's the new living pod that's coming this wipe. There'll be the money vault, so where you can actually see your riches grow in this new living pod. Tons of bug fixes, thank God. A whole new back-end saving system. So now if you like drop your shit on the ground in your living pod or your bunker, like before you had to make sure it was on a wall, like if you drop it, like it'll go to your and you just exit out of the game or you crash in your living pod, you don't lose your gear now. It goes right to your kiosk so you can get it back.
Oh, that's gonna be huge.
Your starter loot will be preloaded into areas. So it'll already be sorted for you on walls and shelves, that kind of stuff.
And that does that include DLC content?
It does, yeah. I
Huge.
don't know if the medicinal room will be there yet. The plant growing. We are well in development on it. One of our guys, Kindle, he is hot into doing all of the upgrades and all that stuff for the living pod bunker system. Coming up is you're all going to hate me, and I'm so happy about it. Is that you're going to have fuel to have lights in your living pod. So you better get ready to start collecting some gas.
So you could load in and it'll be dark in your pod.
It'll be some emergency lighting,
but minimal lighting.
Minimal lighting.
A candle.
Yeah, there will be some. Well, that's level 1. So you'll have different lighting levels too now, and that's a part of the upgrade system. Like your first lighting level before you get to lighting level 1 is candle lighting all over the entire pod with some emergency lights. Then it goes to like some basic like screw-in light bulbs. Then it goes to the nice LED shop lights. But eventually that also goes from generator level 1, like level 3, and generator level 3 is solar power. So now you don't have to worry about fuel anymore, really. Like it's all solar. But it's going to take a while to level all of that. And that's all going to be intertwined with your character level. To get level 3 generator, you got to be level 40 character level and have level 4 trader level with Yuri and Merrick and this guy. And it's going to be all mixed and intertwined. And it's going to be a grind fest is what it's going to be.
That's
loving it. So now my question is going to be towards the grow area where I'm assuming you're going to be able to grow plant life.
Yes.
You're obviously going to have to. So you're going to make sure that power is tied into your living quarter power.
And so what's going to be the benefits of the plants? Like what will you be able to do with
nerds
them?
types. So nerds are going away. Like you're going to see nerds become very, very scarce in our game. And even your arm injection ports gone. You're going to be able to inject anywhere on your body. No more injection ports. You'll just be able to hit it and hold it, and it's there. We're actually going to bring in a lot of new bandage wrapping, that kind of stuff. We call it the cheese from Tarkov, a little yellow case that you open up and do a little shot. That kind of stuff is coming. And this isn't at wipe. This is in the future. But then those different nerds are going to sort of be like stims in Tarkov. You're going to have different types. One for adrenaline, one for healing, one for more stamina, one so you can carry more weight, because a weight system is going to be introduced in the game eventually, to where you can only fit so much stuff in your backpack without it slowing you down.
It just gets.
It's all coming.
That I have a love-hate relationship to the weight issues, because it's like I know it's coming. You can see it on your wrist. It's like it's only one of these days I'm going to load up my backpack and I'm going to try to sprint away, and my guy's going to be running off. But
No
it adds to the overall realism of the experience, though.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most important things that people who've played it definitely already know, but new players are going to figure out real quick, is the gun mechanics. It's like, this is not a, click the A button and your clip just pops in and you're, going to auto reload. It's like every bullet counts. The reload systems seem genuinely, accurate to the gun that you're firing, whether it be the MP5 or any of the others. Mm-hmm. It's like the amount of detail that's gone into each and every weapon to have to load this way, and then the attachments that you can put on it. And I see in my armory what appears to be a gun station that would be used for repairing guns and such. So
it's all coming.
Yeah, see, so it's like
even shooting, if you don't clean it when you're in the middle of a firefight, your gun may jam stovepipe. You'll have to clear it. If you don't clean and take care of your weapon, it's all coming. Plates in your vest, all that's going to have to be repaired. It's going to take damage and degrade in the future as you get shot. Like that's all on our scope of things to do. And I've said it 1,000 times, but I truly believe we'll be in development for the next couple of years. Like we're not going to be happy with this for a few years to get everything we want. But again, we're growing as a team, so maybe we will, right? We'll get some more unicorns in, as I call them, and it'll get done. My favorite, you talk about reloading. I think you all will love this feature. I know the community is going to love it, and we've teased it a ton, but mag palming, tactical reloads, that is coming wipe. That system is done. Really? It's pending the wipe is all it's pending.
That's going to be
and
huge.
Spoonfed from Swordsman did that when he's a fucking god. God tier dev, man.
Was that a big challenge to get polished enough to load in?
Yeah. VR, we're the first VR game to do it, to my knowledge. I don't know another VR game that has done it. And if someone knows, please correct me. I know a guy named Pop Tart Noah is working something like that on something of that nature on a game that he's working in the Roblox engine for VR, but he's not released the game. but it looks amazing. He's Pop Tart Noah on Twitter, so he's doing a killer job from what we can see. But I believe we're the first game on a market to really do a mag palming, to where you don't just drop a mag and you magically have another one. Like, you have to conserve that magazine, and we're giving you the ability to change and tactical reload with 2 magazines in your hand, and even put the original mag back in. It's not just like, oh, that one's out, so now I can only put this one in. No, I can put either one in. That's how I tilt my hand. And it was a huge task. And we knew it was going to be, because we had to go in to like some core mechanics that every VR game has and like completely change those. Because a lot of VR games use VR expansion plugin, and that's made by a brilliant guy named Josh, who's Morden Trials his name, and he's a brilliant person, but like he would even be like, I don't know how you're gonna do that. It's not possible. And like Spoon went in and just like did it. And it was huge. It was really, really tough. The next one is leaning. That's a real tough one. I know Breachers did it. We figured out how they did it, how they fake it. And now we know how to do a system that's a bit better to where you can lean and peek corners in real life. So that's going to be a big one coming up too. And then, but first is going to be the melee. We have to fix our melee to make knives better. So
that's all huge stuff. And with like the player levels, you mentioned how it integrates into, leveling up your base, and, it's got to correlate with the trader levels, and it's all going to be integrated. Is there going to be stat improvements to your character with these levels up, or is it all for back end upgrades?
Not this wipe. We are wanting to do it's a little harder to do this in Tarkov, where you can say like, oh, if you hit this level, you reload faster because you're just clicking a button on a keyboard, right? Or you can reload faster. You can discover things faster. So we looked at like, okay, when I eat, it gives me an extra portion of hydration, or takes an extra chunk of hunger. Like, those kind of stats will get better. Or my healing heals me more when I wrap a bandage if I'm this stat level. Like, we want to introduce those type of things. Like, Tarkov goes really far. Maybe we can reduce the recoil even on a type of gun if you're leveling up, that you use this gun all the time and it's became your favorite weapon. So now your recoil versus a brand new player's is like night and day difference with that gun, just naturally. So we have looked at all that. It is on our roadmap internally, and we're going to work on a roadmap to share with the public here very soon. It's just we're doing a lot of work 7 days a week. Again, we're back to that again. We're just trying to get through this wipe, and then after that, we're going to sit down with our amazing publisher, Beyond Frames, and start bringing some of that publicly to the light.
That's huge.
This is like, to people who are just getting into the game now, it's like, this is probably going to be the most exciting time for the new player, because they'll be the OGs. And I've said numerous times, there will be a time where people want to go back to that,
the old school version.
Like, please just release the way it was, just to see. But it's mind boggling the amount of effort that your team and as a whole is putting into this. It's like, we hear roadmaps for games, and some of them are pretty predictable. This is one that
you don't know what's coming.
I can't predict. I can predict some things just based on, common sense, but then there's things that come out of left field that I never would have thought would be part of this game.
Like stats, your base level up.
I'm mad appreciative of the keep your gun clean, though, because one of the things I've noticed with it is it's for what it's worth, you have to be a responsible gun owner in this game. You got to have trigger discipline. You got to, so
you can easily shoot your friend.
And the reality is if you own a gun and you go blast it, you're going to have to freaking clean it, or guess what? It's not going to work when you need it to. So
that's a big system for us that I've wanted. And it's great because Elijah and me are the one we work on a lot of the guns together. And he's taught me a lot about Unreal, so I could be in there in the dirt with him working on them. And that's been a big system for me and him. He's a Tarkov player. Most of us are Tarkov players, and we love those systems, stovepipe jams, those type of things. We want you to have those happen to you if you're not taking care of your gear. But we're going to break it down. I mean, Husky just started remaking it. I think we shared some pictures on Twitter of him remodeling the MP5 and the Glock, and you could see the different stages. I mean, it's down, every part is an individual part in our game of the guns. And you're going to be able to do massive upgrades, including trigger swaps, to where you don't have to pull your trigger as tightly in real life to get it to shoot and those type of things. Like we want to go full. I'm trying to think of the proper term to use here so I don't offend the masses, because I would say something very military and it's not appropriate. We're going to break it down Barney style for everybody.
Barney style.
Yeah. I love you. You love me. We're a happy family. Yeah. Like we're going to break it, let you be able to just break guns down and do what you want with them and build these monstrosities with the flashlights. And you can already sort of see that with all the different attachments you can put on the rails. But now we want you to be able to change your barrel, and this will reduce your recoil. Now we want you to be able to change your trigger, your bolt. Like I want you to be able to do that type of stuff.
That means when you kill somebody, you don't know what monstrosity you're going to pick up and what creation you're going to pick up. That's totally unique, or at least, I'm sure there's a finite amount of combination, but it's going to be a lot. So the chance if somebody's really into customizing their weapon that you're going to encounter that same weapon twice.
I already know what my problem is, though. I'll customize something so well, I'll be scared to use it.
That's gear fear, man. That's the beauty of the game. Gear fear.
Yeah.
You have to get to a point of so much wealth that you don't care anymore.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have bouts of I go in there, I'm like, you know what? I don't give a shit. I'm loading in with the max of everything I got. And then sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But other times I look at what I got on, it just sits on the wall like it's a decorative piece.
Yeah, but with the wipe coming, it's like just use it after wipe. I think my gear fear might creep back a little bit. But let's see.
My favorite gun right now to go in with is the Tapco SKS with an ACOG suppressed and a drum mag and an angled grip, and just sit there and just smack kids on island all day long as they're running across. So I do that weekly. So it's fun. It's a good time. So and I love it. No one knows my name, and I'm in the Facebook group and every group that we have, right? And I've seen people type like, "Yo, whoever blank is, F you." And it's like that was like a 200-meter shot with an SKS when he's like full sprinting from Lighthouse, and I'm like, "Yeah, you don't even know."
Have you ever seen people accuse you of cheating while doing it?
No, I haven't had any of that. There are a couple people that know my name, but they don't share it publicly. And if they start, if you're listening to this, I'm just going to change it. So.
We've probably been smoked by Scott a few times.
Yeah,
I've had some shots taken on me that I've questioned, like, how's that even possible? But you know what? It is possible.
The best is, where did it come from? When you can't even figure out where you died from, you're like, what?
All of us play. I think all but maybe one person, and it's Jonas in Fish, because he's a loser. No, I love Fish. I love Fish. It's a joke. All of us play. So you don't know, and eventually you're going to know if you kill a developer or not, because we're going to have a custom camo on, custom arm patch, that kind of. We're going to look like this guy, black multicam, but we'll have a big bright blue and yellow dev crew patch on. So you'll know if you killed us or not, and you'll get to take our guns, and we even have the idea of like where we drop like a special item if you're able to kill a developer. Like we may drop like a special cool like thing that you can use. So.
Oh, that's like a seek and destroy.
Be careful though; you're gonna have people hunting for you guys. You know,
they already are. Like I remember early days, man, when it was like we were still in closed alpha. We were on Discord, and like we're just like testing on Silo, and people are like, "Scott, I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna murk you." Like, and they made it their mission, and people got me. And some of them had no idea, like, because we'd be just running around in Silo, and there was no limit of people. Like everyone could join that server on Silo during testing to test the server. So you get like 20 people in Silo running around. Like it was insanity. And that's what made us go down to 6 people, because it was too much. I think we were 8 at one point and dialed it back down to 6. Then we went down to 4. No, this is too slow. So then we equaled out at 6.
That makes sense. And
yeah, it's a fair number for both the maps. It's the fair number of players that can be in there is perfect.
And speaking of maps, you know, you referenced a new one for Prague.
Yes.
Yeah. How many maps are you able to say are in the works, and when can we expect to see them?
Macam, yes. So we actually have a timeline internally on that. Macam, yes, is coming in August. As of right now, I don't know if it's the whole map, but it's at least half the map. But the map is ginormous. It is huge.
How is it?
City.
How does it compare in size to Tabor Island?
Bigger.
Okay.
How many?
A lot of tight alleys, some windows you can peek through, different castle, some churches, a house of Scott, and the synagogue of Spoon are on that map.
And how many players do you think you're going to allow in the same as Tabor Island, or more?
I'm
as it's a
hoping
bigger
20
map?
or more.
That's going to be
On the full map. If we release the full map, which I'd have to check, but I don't know right now. I think we're cutting it in half because it's separated by a giant river and the St. Charles Bridge, which is in Prague. And you're going to be on one side of the map, and then they're going to release shortly after the other side of the map. But when that full map is released, I would like to see 20 people or more, at least, on that map. Because it's hard to find people. Like when we go in and test with like 10 of us, 12 of us, and barely find each other. But what's really cool is if you've ever been to Prague enough times, you can walk in our map and you know where you're at compared to your experiences in Prague.
I was going to ask for how authentic the location is compared to the map coming out. So you just answered
Seb,
that.
our lead environment artist, he's in Romania, and he actually flew to Prague like 2 months ago and like spent a weekend there just walking around. And my wife is from there, and I've been there a ton of times. And we went on Google Streets and Google Earth and different maps, and even the sidewalks, the different architecture and designs in the sidewalks are the same in real life as they are in the game. So,
And is that the direction that you want to continue going with future maps, or are you going to do a mix?
Absolutely. Yeah. So the only even Island of Tabor is based off of a real place. Every map so far is based off of something real in the world that you can find. And I know that we've touched on it on another podcast and people thought it was sort of taboo, but like the coal mine that's coming is a coal mine that's in the Ukraine. Like we're hitting real world places, and that's what we design our maps off of. Now we do make some changes and we expand, but we try to make sure that if you knew what this place was, like you could find it on Google Earth and go walk around on it or fly there, and you would know where you are.
That's going to be a game changer. And how many maps do you want to see, at time of full release?
No, I'm counting. So right now, not counting the bunker and the market, there will be 11 maps when we're done.
That's going to be
Shopping Mall is going to be probably the last one, or Death Mountain maybe. Oskan Lake will be a smaller map. The forest will be a decent sized map. Zavinka coal mine will be a decent sized map, medium kind of map. Airport, I'm really excited about the airport map, the Prague airport map. And then Bozidar, which is actually in the Czech Republic too, which is an old abandoned Soviet base. I'm pumped about that.
That is so many more maps than I would have expected.
And not for nothing, the Prague one, if it's going to have like alleys, and I mean, this is going to change your whole game style of playing is going to change.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
this isn't going to be like, I mean, Tabor Island's obviously my favorite, but I'm already trying to think
until you play this.
Yep, I'm already thinking in my head. I'm like, oh shit, you're going to have choke points. You could put people. This is going to be fun.
And I like the idea.
It's gonna be nuts. It's a cool map. It's a really cool map. Like I've enjoyed testing it, and we have a bunch of QA testers, and they play it a lot, and they're currently bug hunting on the map now for us. So.
And I like that when you reference the upcoming maps, they're not all continuing on a direction of bigger, bigger, bigger. You mentioned that there's going to be some smaller sized one, a decent sized one, so it adds a lot of variety for the player. Of hey, what type of map do you want? The shopping mall sounds pretty fun. So does the airport. So I don't know. I'm definitely excited for those.
I think the shopping mall is probably going to be what takes the longest, just because of what it is. Like it's just like Tarkov's map interchange. Like it's a big map. It's going to be a big map, and it's going to high risk, high reward.
That's going to be awesome. So, in your words, from the creator himself, what makes Ghost of Tabor special in VR? What separates
There's nothing
it from
like us in VR, period. There is nothing like us. And by time there is something that is like us, we're going to be so far ahead that you're going to take years to do it, because we know someone's going to come in and make a game like it. They cannot not do it based off the success that we've had. It's only makes sense that someone's be like, oh, okay, this game did really good. Let me make sort of a version of Tarkov, another version. We see it all the time. How many shooters are there? How many versions of Counter-Strike, different types are there? It's going to happen. We fully expect it to. And we hope it gets to the point where like, oh, where we get called a Tarkov ripoff. They're like, well, you're just a Tabor ripoff. And we hope that's what happens, right? And I welcome, maybe they'll give us some ideas of what we should have done differently so we can fix our game when they do that. We know it's coming, but you're not going to have the hustle that this team has. Like, you can work day, night, every day for 3 years, and you're never going to outwork this team of people because it's all about passion. Like, this is what we live. Tabor is a lifestyle for us. It's not just a video game. Like, Tabor is life. And that sounds crazy, but that's what it is. Like, we eat and breathe and think about Tabor. We wake up in the middle of the night and write down ideas about maps and what we should do. And I do it, and so does everyone else. Wake up at midnight because we can't sleep, and I drive 15 minutes to the office to do something that's burning a hole in my head. And so do my developers. Like, this team is crazy, and there's a lot of great developers out there working on top VR content and titles and future titles. I appreciate your work ethic, but you don't have what this team has, and you never will, because you don't have the passion. You won't have the passion that these guys have developed. But it's been there since. That's why they were hired, because they came into the interview with that passion for this kind of game. They wanted it. They craved it for years, like me as a VR player. They craved this shit. And now we finally have it, and there's no way we're going to give up the top spot.
No, and there is nothing currently that I can think of that's even anybody trying to pull off what you're doing. Maybe on a small little sliver scale of some of it, but no freaking way is the magnitude going to be there. And the amount of years you're going to have to spend to catch up to even get to the point you're at now, it's not worth it. This is yours to keep. And I just... the wave and the longevity of this is going to be so, to me, this is like an easy decade worth of people playing it with. I mean, I still play Counter-Strike 1.6 when I can. So it's like,
well, it's like game. We've seen many games, especially in VR, get a big following for multiplayer initially and then fizzle out
and taper off.
Ghosts of Tabor, every time we go in, it's like it only seems to be growing and growing. And
I don't even think it's begun. That's the crazy part.
This is App Lab.
Yeah, it hasn't even begun. So it's going to take the VR world by storm, I think.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So
we're hoping that we're contenders, hopefully, this year for the VR awards over in Rotterdam. We're hoping that will drive some traffic towards us. And I think right now there's close to 2,000 people playing, according to the website. The only thing we've seen a drop off of is Steam, and we're not shocked by that. SteamVR just seems to, but it's still hanging in pretty well, like for what we were expecting. We expected a huge pop, and then PCVR just to fizzle out, because it seems to be a pretty big trend with PCVR. And I'm a PCVR player, so I get it. But Tabor's held on and is still doing great numbers on PCVR. We watch it every day. Our publisher looks at it. We track our sales, and it's still killing it. And we're actually really shocked. And we're in the Steam chart, in the VR sales charts on Steam. We're still in the top 3 every day, up there with big players like VR Chat, Beat Saber, like big tier players. And we're just trying to sit over here and be the Activision of VR, man. That's all we want, without all the dumb shit that they do. That's all we want to do.
Now just wait until people can see the game on the main store when they open up the Quest app. The player base is gonna explode. Yeah.
Well, that's why we had to do this wipe and this version change, because we are eventually going to go to the store. Like, it's coming. And if we didn't wipe by like the middle of August, which we would already plan on for a really long time, our current save system was just supposed to last like a month. This backend system was not supposed to stay alive this long with this many players playing it. We never developed the game thinking we would have this. And Fish said it the other day, he's like, hey, listen, if we don't wipe like in the next like 6 weeks, the backend dies. Like, I can't keep it alive. Like, I'm diverting resources from Europe to the US. So yesterday he made some back-end changes, a big update, and that's where you've seen like some gear disappearing like off your shelves. Like, it was stuff that you still owned. It was still there, but the back-end's so loaded down by the millions of requests every single day that sometimes your stuff just wouldn't load in. But if you signed out and signed back in, then it would be there. It just couldn't keep up with the amount of traffic that we never expected. And to this day, I'm very like, I owe this community everything. Like, all of us do. Like, I think we came into our last interview and I told you we had funding for 1 year and we took a chance. And if it wasn't for this crazy chaotic community that we have, I love them. It's a love-hate with them, really. We wouldn't be where we are, and we the whole team owes it. We all took a chance, and they helped make our dreams come true, and we hope to keep making content that they love to see for years. So
that goes back to the passion.
Well, and I believe it's a team that's giving the player base what they want. Mm-hmm. It's like it just happens to coincide with what you want, but it shows you like you're right on the money.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like a VR game that's had this kind of momentum at the stage of development it's in, and I have nothing.
Well, the thing is, this, again, it goes back to the passion. This wasn't a game that got put together in a meeting room of investors and what's going to make the most money. In fact, you tried to get funding when we talked about this in our last interview, and people weren't really the most receptive, of the idea to make Tarkov in a year and the amount it's going to take. So this is something that's made by VR gamers, people that understand the industry, what people want, and are just
people
passionate.
That understand not just that, but the understanding of, because we can mention it, the combat element and the gun element and the loading and the bullets and the size of the bullets and the ability to make bullets. It's like Scott's a veteran, so he's bringing a lot of that past military knowledge and experience, which makes him lethal on that game field, by the way. Because he's
we actually had, and I'm not going to say their name because I don't want to give me hate, and they've apologized since. But we actually had publishers like tell us, like, "Hey, your game will never be anything. Like, no one's ever going to play this. This isn't something we want in our wheelhouse." Like, we had a publishing company tell us that, and it was probably
their loss.
August of last year. Well, they've reached out to people we know now that are on our current publishing team, and apparently they apologized. I said, "Hey, can you let them know that we're sorry we ever said that?" And we've been alive for 112 days, man. That's what combatwaffle.com shows. Tabor has been live for 112 days. And it's wild that I just don't understand why someone didn't do it before, if that makes sense. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
I can tell you, because it's a lot of different work that hasn't been done yet. There's not a lot of copy paste you can do with coding on this. This is like almost from ground up. You're having to invent everything yourself. So I totally see it. Someone would be like, "Oh, it's going to cost me too much money and I need instant reward. It's going to take me 5 years to do easily." So
yeah. No, we're spending $20,000 a month just on servers right now, just for game servers. Like, but we're switching to multiplayer because Amazon is just killing us. So we're switching over to multiplayer servers. That's a big upgrade coming soon. It's new servers, but we're still testing all of that, getting that set up. So make sure it's bulletproof. But like, never did we think that we'd be spending $20,000 a month on game servers. Like, that to me, like, sort of like, it broke my brain. The first bill came in. Like, we were during testing, we were spending like $300 a month. We're like, "Oh, that's easy, right?" And then at launch, like the first 20th to the 31st, we did like $11,000 in server cost of March. And I was like, dude, it's been 11 days.
Yeah.
It's $1,000 a day. Like, what are we doing? And we all looked like, what did we make? Like, oh no, what have we done? And it's like, well, let's hope the sales come in like we think they are going to, or the way we pray they're going to, because if not, the servers alone are going to bankrupt the company. Right. And, but they did. The community showed up, and we're pumped. We're excited.
Yeah. Hey, I think
I'm more worried about opening day on an official store launch. Like, you're gonna need. Oh my god,
it's gonna be nuts. I'm afraid.
Well, even we grabbed.
And we've talked to Meta about that kind of stuff too. Like, hey, be like expect, and Meta's on it, man. These guys are great. Our partners over there. They deal with Maeva and Ace over Beyond Frames. Talk to Meta for us, and work all those details. So that's the great part. If you're a developer and you need to like talk to Meta or talk to Steam or talk to PlayStation or Pico or anybody, like, you need to get a publisher. Like, that's just me. Like, it's worth the percentage, the business percentage at the end of the day. Like, they take so much weight off of me and honestly treat me like gold. Like, even before we started making money, like, they treat me like gold. I was just over there with them for a week. I spent a week in Sweden with all of them, and it was amazing. Like, I had the best trip I've ever had going overseas, and I've been to, I don't know, I can't even count how many countries I've been to in the last 8 years. And those were the most gracious and humble people like I've ever met. And I'll say it like I said in our last interview. I would never sign with another publisher after meeting these guys and being with these guys. Like, no one could come hand me a big enough stack of cash to walk away from these people. So, and I want them for the next games. Like that. I mean, and we don't like, it's one of those things like we could self-publish on the next games. I don't want to. I want them involved. Like, I need them involved in my business. Like, they're amazing. So get a publisher, one that you can like and trust.
Not one that will tell you that your game will never make it.
Yeah,
that was a very
them.
Costly.
Yes,
that's going to be one of those ones that whoever made that comment will probably. You can apologize all you want, but you're never going to forget what you let go.
Because it's not just this game. You know, the results speak for themselves. Dude. Is the next game and the next game and the next game. So I got one last big question, and I'll pass it over to you if you got anything else. You know, after this upcoming wipe, can we expect more wipes in the future, or is it something that you're trying to phase out? You know, are wipes going to stay routine?
Yes, in the near future you will get more wipes. As long as we're actively developing, adding core features, you're going to get wipes. But I think even into the future, even when we're done with giant core features, like we at least have to do 1 or 2 wipes a year. Like we have to. That way the game stays fresh. Yeah. Because what's the point of playing if, like, you know, a year into, you're like, well, I've got everything. I can fit nothing else in my hideout. I've got no more space. Like, what am I supposed to do? And that's when people start to leave. So I think the route that Tarkov took, DayZ does it, Grim does it. They wipe. And it's for a reason. So the game is always fresh content. So, yes, you will always see wipes. But as long as we're active in development, you will see wipes. Now, I cannot say for the rest of the year. So this wipe that's going to happen in July, there will be another wipe after this at some point. But I don't know when it will be. It may be several months. Like it's very possible that it could be a very long time before a wipe. And it could be that it's 3-4 months. It could be the new year. Like I don't know, but there is another wipe coming.
I actually like that because I commented that's what was stopping my gear fear, was knowing that there's a wipe coming. So yeah. To me, there's no point in hoarding weapons, knowing, but I actually like that.
I still have a couple that I'm not letting go of.
You're going to have to hoard, man. The game's going to only get harder.
Yeah.
Like the stuff's going to get more scarce. We're adding more junk loot. You're going to need that junk loot to upgrade hideouts parts, to unlock rooms and upgrade different equipment. You're going to need that stuff, and guns are going to get more scarce, especially when the crafting system comes in that allows you to like make homemade weapons and little one-shots rat guns and stuff like that, and double barrel like slam fire pipe shotguns that have a chance of blowing up in your hand if you use them too much, and that kind of stuff. Like, so there's a lot coming to this game and a lot of legs left.
Well, now I'll also say, if anybody jumps into your Discord community, always informative as to, what's coming, what this update was. I mean, there's updates that happen I didn't even know they really happened. I see it in Discord and I'm like, oh shit, okay. So it's not like there's radio silence from people who are maintaining that side of things. But man, when you speak in that Discord, it's on fire.
So, and anything else you wanted to ask Scott before we let him go?
Nope. I mean, a default, probably been asked a million times before, but best advice you give someone that's a day one player?
Trust no one.
That's actually really good advice.
That's very good.
Don't even trust the friends that you're squatted up with. Like, you ask my team, we go in the test and they're just standing around. We're talking about bugs, and I'm like, boop, drop a grenade. And just like walk away. They're like, what the hell? Who killed us? I'm like, I don't know. I didn't die. And then it pops up like blank, killed by blank, right? And they're like, it was Scott again. It's like, how are we supposed to test? I'm like, I can't help myself.
I mean, I won't lie. There's times we load in and there'll be like a second delay between the other player loads in. You load in and I got my gun aimed right at your head. And it's not like it's not tempting because your buddy's got better stuff going in than you. You're like, it would be funny too. Yeah, we just haven't done it. We've respected but that's great advice. Trust no one, because we've seen people seemingly give up to us, and then I get shot in the head by someone else I didn't see. And
yeah.
There's a lot of interesting aspects. I'm excited.
Tabor is life, man.
Yeah, and you've got official hats and stuff now that
we do. I'm wearing one. Look at this. Look at this official limited edition hat. Ghost of Tabor, black multicam. Got a patch. So this is a limited edition one. Where's the other hat? So this is the hat from the only people that got this hat were at the launch party. So it's got made by Branded Bills. It's got the Combat Waffle logo on the side. This is like a 3D PVC patch. Great hat. But again, this is the second edition hat. Black multicam. It's just got the patch on it. This is actually a Richardson trucker hat. We only have 80, 70 more of these. Like we had like 300, and after like a week, we're down to like 80 of them. We just released some PVC patches for all the different factions that are on the website. We ship worldwide. When this hat is gone, there's a new hat coming in by Branded Bills again, but it'll be a PVC patch like this. So it'll be also, we keep on doing like, it'll be black multicam, but the next one after the patch like this, then we're going to go to like the normal earth colored multicam. Like we're going to keep making this limited edition gear and shirts. And now we're working with a company called Savage Tacticians. And they're doing some cool stuff. They've got some great gear. We're talking to them about some shirts, some different hats, swim shorts. Like we try to, it's a veteran owned company, right? Again, Tabor is literally life for us. So it's like, let's do something that I feel like every studio fails at in VR. And I don't know why we're so bad about it in VR. There's so many games that just go completely undiscovered, and it's all just marketing. Like we don't know how to market ourselves in VR. It's like really, it's early computer game days. It's hard to market yourself unless your friend found it. You never knew about it in the early days before Steam and GameSpy Arcade and InPlayer and all this stuff. When you're having to go to Walmart and you're just looking at DVD cases or like old VHS cases that came with a CD-ROM, like a CD in it to install. So I just feel like we're so far behind on marketing. I've talked to a couple devs within this Oculus Start group that I belong to through Meta, and it's like devs starting out and trying to get advice and whatnot. And they're like, what can you do? And I'm just like, market yourself. Just I know it sucks to spend the money, but market yourself, and you've got a great game. Like I played your game. It's amazing. But so many of those just go on App Lab and then they're just never found.
No, it's an area that I think, and I get it from, if I made a game in my head, I might believe, well, if I make this and put it out, they will come and somehow the people are going to funnel to it, where you've kind of hit it right on the head. You're responsible for your marketing for the most part. So you gotta get your name out there, but
especially on App Lab.
I also think there's levels of marketing, and you just come into the VR world with a different understanding, I think, of the benefits of knowing how to market something, knowing how to promote, having an eye for what's quality and what's not. I mean,
right.
So, hats off though. No pun intended. I loved when I saw the merch start dropping, and I'm loving the fact that these are limited edition things. So it's, if you bought the first couple, you're probably going to have to say yes to the, how are you going to say no? Cause now you're going to have and in like a year, we're going to see people's walls with
all the hats,
all the different hats and stuff they own. So
yeah, I think I have like 5 of our hats so far that are coming out to release, like all the different mock-ups that I've got later. And I do all of this. Like, that's the crazy thing. Like, I come up with all this stuff, and I go to the team like, what do you think about this hat? And they're like, oh, we hate that one. I'm like, what do you think about this one? And like when we did the Silent North logo for the DayZ game, like, hey, here's 10 different versions of this name and 10 different versions of this name. And what do you guys think about this? And it's like, I'm on this constant, like, nonstop machine, and this fucking Ferris wheel just goes around and around and around, and it won't let me off. The meth head that built it in 3 hours on a Friday night won't let me off the thing. And I just come up with all these ideas, and my team's like, yo, can we just focus on this? I'm like, yes, we can, but we have to plan for this. We got to get ready for this. It's always, Tabor is here. Tabor will always remain right here in the center of my heart. Like, it's right here. But now I need to see this game, and this game, and this game, and this game. But again, Tabor's right here. And these two are on my outer focus. And then they'll start to slowly share a bubble. But Tabor will always, in my heart, have the biggest bubble, because it's the game that I wanted the longest, and that I poured a year of my life of no paycheck, no nothing into.
Well,
like,
as a VR lover, I'm glad that you're in the industry because it's going to do a lot of.
It's going to be the studio in itself is going to, at the end of the day, when all is said and done, it's going to be pretty remarkable when we look back
at the early days of it.
Yeah,
because
you're looking at really a AAA VR studio that doesn't have the game on the store yet, but is already at that caliber of passion and community of a AAA studio. So it's going to be
a lot of shit
unique
to work out, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
No, you guys are all honest too. There's no like bullshit going on when you're letting people know what's up and the reality of things. And the one saving grace, and I've heard it, literally over 100 times, is when people find out how long it took to get the game to where it is today, and then their attitudes flip. They're like, "Oh, I had no idea. This is the most remarkable thing I've ever played." Once you have that respect for it, would never normally be that way if someone else had done it. It'd be shadowed. You wouldn't be seeing this for another year. You're getting to play a game that works, and you guys are working out the bugs. But come on, over the top.
Yeah, no, I love it.
We appreciate their patience.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're going to be waiting it out. There's no doubt. I can't wait to see this when it's going to officially come to the store. It's just going to be mayhem.
Mm-hmm.
I really believe it.
You'll be sniping a bunch of new players, that's for sure.
I'll be excited.
So
Bunch of Timmies.
Give some lessons.
So anything else you want to ask Scott before we let him go here? Or?
No, I'm appreciative of the owner of the company taking time to do this, and
it feels appropriate for episode 1. Really lay the foundation, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, there'll be
many. We're gonna have on episode 2.
That's what we got to discuss with you. There's so many good people on the team from what it sounds. We've seen Proper D on other ones, but I feel like there's so many people that you reference in the back that people have never heard from directly. I think it would be great to over time get, different people from the team on and hear from them directly.
I doubt anyone's going to not have the passion for it.
Yeah. 100%.
I think you should get like a Michael DeFresney on, who's our community manager and answers all the support emails. He can give you like a really unique view of what it's like day to day dealing with the community and being a player. And Michael was working with us for months before ever even getting hired by us, because we didn't know what we were going to do. He lives in Canada. He had a full-time job. And it's one of these things like, hey man, after launch, if it takes off, I'm going to hire you. I want you to know I'm going to hire you. And he came in with such a unique perspective and just being a champion for us and talking to me every single day. And he knows everyone in the VR space. I don't know how he knows everyone, but he knows fucking everybody. And it's just it blows my mind how he keeps up with everybody. And he's helped test tons of VR games for years and help people get connected with people at Meta and all this different thing. He's a rock star of a person. And I really think Michael DeFresney is guest 2.
Awesome. So stay tuned for that one.
And this is a person who, let's just put it out there, a lot of Discords and the community managers that they have to manage, they're not throwing IG and all of them. Just your Discord alone, 50K or 50, what did we say? 51.3K? 51.3K right now. That is a load and a half that you gotta
manage.
On top of. Yeah, it's no joke, dude. I mean, I've seen a couple of thousand, and they're maintaining. So for this guy to be able to pull off just the Discord side of things, let alone anything else,
he has a great support system. All the mods, Impact Reality XR, public relations company, these guys are all just rock stars, and we've been so blessed to get them on board. And then Michael just dealing with the community and support, and I think he's great. And then I know Fish will probably never agree to this, but I think he has to be episode number 3.
I love it. Send him our way. I think that
you have the authority to force him. So.
That's right. Yeah.
And from what I see, the tools in the background to make it happen, because any one of those would get my attention.
And I'll say,
my favorite.
Michael's definitely a great follow. He's definitely a great follow on Twitter as well. He's constantly sharing new games.
Purple Mikey.
Yeah. Great follow on Twitter as well. Sometimes I talk some MMA with him as well. So good guy.
Dude, I can't believe
he's a great guy, man. If you can get past the fact that he's Canadian, everything's good.
We can throw the A in there now and then.
Yeah.
A boot. What are you talking about?
Yeah, we're talking about he can give you a really cool perspective. And then Reynaldo, of course, who's our chief development officer, can give you really a lot of. He's been with me since the start. He's Fish, Jonas, which is Fish, and Proper D. are the three, like they're my go-to guys, man. Like
The
I used
OGs.
to say this, if I have something I need to figure out what I'm going to do, like they know everything. They know everything about the company. They're minority shareholders. They know everything. They're my board. They're my corporate board as well. Like we have been through the battles together, and we yelled at each other and cussed each other and been back and forth with each other to where it's like, you know what, dude, I hate you. Like we're still here, except for Proper, because he's very British and he's too proper.
Too proper.
But they've seen so much from the start and to now. And then Bash was the dev that got hired on second, Elijah right after him, and Patty right after him. And all the guys, and I think Soul was the last guy, Soul BC, who's a content creator. He came on, and he was at the launch party. He came on like a month before the launch party. But even him, like he stepped up. And we just hired Z-Storm Gaming to come in and help create media. And like these guys are stepping up and learning mocap at home and like all this stuff. Like they're just expanding. And we're currently looking at a building, and we're going to be building that out. It's about 12,000 square feet, and everyone's moving here. And you're going to have a full-time studio working out of Florida, like going hard at it every single day. So it's becoming real. It's been real the whole time, but now it's like really, you can feel it on your shoulders.
Now it's super real.
Oh, it must be hard to even sleep with all the excitement, every night.
Well,
You know?
there's
cool,
so
man.
much going on in different. And what I love is that you can definitely tell that Scott doesn't need to be fed bullshit. So I can get like some of these conversations internally you might have could be fairly heated at times, but at least everyone's being honest. There's not like sugarcoating.
We'll look at the end product.
I run it a lot like I ran with my soldiers in the military. And it's like, you can tell me to go fuck myself as long as you do it in a certain way. Like, you can be honest with me. Like, I'd rather you be blunt and dead honest with me than feed me bullshit and sugarcoat stuff. Like, just tell me. Just be straight. And that's the way I try to be with the community. And I thought they were going to hate me for it. But these people are psychopaths, and they love it. And I love them for it. Like, there's mornings I wake up, like, where we get death threat phone calls. And I'm just like, man, I'm done. I'm done with this place. I'm never going back in that Discord. It's like I can't help myself. Like, I miss them. I miss the majority of them.
Well, out of the 51.3K, definitely not all of them are trying to have you iced out.
Amazing people.
Yeah, no. This game has more of a movement behind it than anything I can recall. I can't wait for it to go on. And who the hell has launch parties for games? I saw pictures of it, and it's like, I get there's launch parties, but you had a bona fide freaking like
Party.
Hollywood setup launch party.
We're going to do it for Grimm. We're going to do it for Silent North. And we're going to do something we're planning with Impact to do like a little personal tournament, like sometime next year at Full Sail again in Orlando, and bring out content creators and stuff and let them compete live on stage and let them like fight each other in like an offline server that we set up, like that only they can play in, and see who is the top Tabor player and crown them champion with a trophy and everything while we're there. Like, it's going to be cool, man. We want to do what Flat Screen's been doing for years for their games. COD, remember COD's launch parties? They were massive.
Yeah,
like, I'm talking like major celebrities showing up to these launch parties, right? And it was one of those things. I didn't even want to do a launch party, but our old public relations company, Forge Relations, who we had to phase out due to some issues, they hit me up in like August of last year, and they're like, we should do a launch party. I'm like, a what? Let's do a launch party. And I was like, how much is that going to cost? Well, we can get sponsors to cover all of this and this and that. And I'm like, let's do it. And it came together. Full Sail's a rocking cool place. And I'm extremely happy to know that we're working with them for years to come on these different games, because we're launching 2 games next year. So we're going to do launch parties for both of them.
And those are 2 games separate from Ghost of Tabor. That's not saying, you're not counting like a Ghost of Tabor official launch in those 2. You're saying 2 completely new games.
No, two new titles with brand new staffing, new devs, whole new team working on them. But now Grimm is already in development by Spoon. In his bone, we're sharing a lot of knowledge back and forth between what he's built and Tabor. But Silent North, the DayZ of VR that we're making, completely open world, it's actually going to be it's going to be completely different. You're not even going to expect the art direction we're going more of like a artistic cell shaded kind of the Swiss Alps kind of a deal. Like it's really, really cool. We just hired the modeler that's modeling our characters and our guns, and the environment artist doing all the different shading, and that's all brand new teams, and it's just going to be super cool. I'm so pumped. I just didn't want to take it, and that's what community's worried about most, right? We did Between Realities a couple weeks ago or last week or something like that, the podcast, and people were freaking out like, oh no, you're going to kill Tabor. Oh no, it's a typical VR game. I'm like, no, guys, no. We're hiring new staff, new teams.
And again,
Tabor
I'll say
will always be number one because honestly, it's what pays the bills for all these people. I can't shut down Tabor, and my heart would never allow me to do such.
no, but it does show you what the community's used to having happen, where you pick up another game. So it is awesome to hear, and if it needs to be reinforced every day, then so be it. But you are not using your full team on new games.
No.
These are new team players for new games, and Tabor teams staying Tabor teams.
Yeah, and they're just taking the bones for like Silent North. The Tabor bones, the skeleton that we've developed like uniquely, is being used in Silent North. But it's going to be a little more like casual player friendly than Tabor is. So, and there'll be zombies. That'll be cool.
Who doesn't love zombies?
The Tabor community raves and just demands zombies all the time. I think I see a suggestion. Yo, give us zombies. We're like, no. So now we're going to do it. We're going to give you some zombies. So in one of the next games.
Oh my goodness.
No, I'm very
Be
confident in the direction. And like I said, I'd put an easy decade worth of people will continue to play it. It's not going to be a problem.
Absolutely.
It's one of those things that we've talked about, right? And I know we're trying to wrap up, but like I said a minute ago, like I just could never see me shutting down Tabor. So we have a backup plan. Say one day the community just goes away and we can't afford to pay for servers anymore. Like we have a backup plan to allow you to host your own on your own PC. We don't want it to die. Will that bring in some cheaters and stuff? Absolutely. It's going to, because people will be able to manipulate game files and server files at that point. But whatever we have to do to keep it online.
Yeah, and that would be, we're talking so far down the road anyways.
Years. I mean, we're looking at another 2 to 4 to 5 years of just development before we're even finished.
So what do you think? It's going to win awards every year now. I can already.
I hope.
Dude,
I hope.
Your studio is literally going to blow the hell up. That's crazy.
It's just the early days right now.
Yeah.
Like you said earlier, it's going to be really crazy to look at.
Yeah, you're looking at the AAA studio for what they do.
Mm-hmm. I can't wait till we get the rest of the team on, one by one. I think we're going to get some really good interviews.
Oh, the perspectives are going to be freaking awesome.
Yeah, no doubt.
If you get Proper D on without me, so he has to answer all the questions, that'll be great.
I've noticed that. I won't blow his spot any, but I get it. If I were doing an interview and you were right there, I'd be like, oh yeah, you could definitely ask that guy right there.
Yeah.
There's no wrong answer when he says it,
No, he's I've said it a bunch of times, man. Those guys who started with Duncan, he was just a guy waiting for a chance and an opportunity. He came out and he makes the best fucking trailers in VR. He makes the best content in VR I've ever seen. Hell, he rivals to me like the Call of Duty trailers. Like he sat down and he learned how to do it. He strapped some broken ass controllers to his feet and made his own mocap system. Like he's amazing.
Holy
like
shit.
The team we put together underneath him, Z-Storm and Soul. Like they had no idea how to do this. They're just content creators who knew how to edit videos, and now they're coming in doing mocap. Like Z's doing mocap, I think already. He's been with us for like 2 or 3 weeks. Like, and he's learning. Like there's so much potential in the VR space of people, and people don't give them the chance. And if you give somebody the chance that has that hunger and wants to do it, they will blow you the fuck away. And that is what everyone in our team has done to me and their superiors, is they've blown us away. And we can honestly say at this point in the studio's life with what current sales are, we're not going away. We're only going to keep growing. And for the studios that are mad at us and the people that don't like us, we're just going to continue to be here and thrive and live and survive and make good fucking games.
Studios can get that just comes down to pure jealousy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if someone's ever going to
Unfortunately,
yeah, from a studio standpoint, you don't have anything to be jealous about. Put yourself in check and give yourself a pat on the back too, Scott, because good leadership, yields good employees. Bad leadership, they're going to do piss for you. So
it's from the top down, man.
Yep.
Blame goes from the top down.
So hats off to you for that. You're running a
Hats off
good
to you.
team, and freaking an amazing experience that people can get right now, still in development.
Only going to get better.
Only getting better by the hour. Yeah, I'd get in ASAP. Start getting that skill down.
Yeah, you don't want to be one of the Timmies we kill on launch. I'll tell you that. So, thanks again, Scott. This was great. Like I keep saying, I can't wait to talk to the rest of the team. And this is the first of many. So, check you out soon. So, wow, a lot of stuff coming to Tabor. Way more maps than I would have ever anticipated to be in the works.
It's a lot to digest. That was an hour of mental digestion that you've got to let some of that really sink in.
I was kind of anticipating we were going to steal Scott for maybe 20, 30 minutes, just kind of do a rough around of what's coming next. No, and he's a great guest to have
Hold him hostage for an hour, like nothing.
But he had plenty of knowledge there. A lot of great stuff was said, so I'm definitely glad it went that length. I think that was appropriate for episode 1.
Most definitely. Can't guarantee we'll kidnap all their peeps for that kind of time frame, but we tend to have that problem.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's a lot of info that was just talked about. I love his honesty. If something's going to be difficult, he'll say it's going to be difficult. If this is his plan and it's going to happen, and guess what? It's most likely going to happen.
Here's the timeline.
Yeah, and I said it during the interview, and I'll say it every day. This is a game that's not officially on the store yet, and it's already received this kind of reception. It's more than anything I've ever seen before.
It's not even on the store yet, and we wanted to do a dedicated podcast for it.
Dude, I'd have no problem. I could do years of podcasting just on Ghosts of Tabor because of all the changes that are going to take place. The player base is going to get pretty massive. There's obviously going to be levels coming down the road to people's gameplay and strategies and some of the maps that he discussed. That in itself is going to be unlike any way we've all played the game, because currently we're playing it either in a silo, which is pretty cramped and small, or you got Tabor Island, which is
what we go in a little bit more.
Pretty friggin' big, and now you're talking
even bigger.
Map so big that they're going to release it in 2 chunks.
Hopefully up to 20 players when it's fully out.
Dude, it's crazy. This is, again, to me, Ghost of Tabor is more of a gaming movement with the players than anything I've seen.
Totally agree. I mean,
and with Quest 3 coming around the corner, come on. It's just, I want those pancake lenses.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait for a game like this, especially with increased performance power too. It's going to make a world of difference for a game like Ghost of Tabor.
My God, yeah.
But even on
just think all the next generations after that come out. I mean, this game's still going to be relevant. They're obviously got years worth of content planned. And in those years, we're going to be receiving 3 or 4 headsets easily. It's just going to be sick, dude, to look ahead in the crystal ball a little. It's nuts.
Yeah.
And with the amount of content they have, dude, 11 maps. How are you going to get bored with this? And the gun, the gun changes.
I'm mind blown.
The ability to basically create your own firearm per se, and
base level, or your player level, your base level. Coinciding with the trader levels.
Dude, when he said you're going to need to get fuel
to keep the lights on,
right?
Then they're going to have a plant room.
Well, I've always questioned why they got the grow tent there.
Yeah, now it makes sense.
And I'm like, you know what? Now it's coming together. But they'd already had that in there, just waiting. The team is brilliant.
Look, the money room that's going to display your wealth. I cannot.
It's gonna display my poverty because I tend to
my lack of wealth.
I have no shame in spending. There's times we'll play and I'll be like, "How much money do you got?" And you'll be like, "I got a couple of grand." And I'm like, "Dude, I got $290. I am the brokest raider right now there is."
Well, at least if you're completely broke, you can, you have your daily rations, your weekly rations. So
you have something to cash in.
Yeah, something to cash in, or something to at least use. And then how about when those the runs with the preset loadout, whatever you get,
dude. Which I'm that made me wicked excited. You'll see even on the video, I'm like smiling when he says it, because I'm like, sometimes I don't mind the gamble of a weak loadout. So I mean, shit, if you're giving me the basics, and if I know how this game is, you can survive. Although he did mention they're going to make it a little more like there'll be more junk items, so you can cash in.
So much coming.
It's the most exciting time right now, I think, for the player base that are going to get to witness these versus the player who hops on. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you start hopping on 3 years down the road, you're really missing out on some of what's going to be some fun activities in the meantime. Although the finished product, to those who get it years from now and they're getting, 8-9 maps and gun repair system.
Yeah, but I'd rather get it now and get the skill.
Dude, training out your trigger so you can have just a sensitive trigger so you barely have to touch it, which is a real thing, by the way. I fired a couple of guns that had you breathe on it. That's why they say you should never put your finger on a trigger, because
even in this game, we joked about it in the interview, but trigger discipline is real.
It's legit. You shoot your buddies, then you can steal their stuff.
Yeah, and I won't lie. After that interview, I love talking with Scott, but I'm also now hyped to talk with Michael. I'm excited to talk with Proper D, and hopefully, we can get one by one every person from the team who at least is willing to talk and get them on the show. And
without having to be forced to, yes.
I guarantee we'll get that same passion that.
Well, we're going to get the passion, but we're also going to get
insight,
totally different perspectives, because they, Scott's looking at this from the overall bubble, where some of the people maybe can have more focused direction on, their one specific task, but it's going to be really neat to hear some of the flow of that. Yeah. I'm excited.
And it's important to say, if you enjoyed this episode, definitely, leave your feedback in the Ghosts of Tabor Discord, but most importantly,
51.3 thousand Discord members right now as we speak.
But most importantly, don't forget to subscribe on whatever podcast platform you're listening on, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Overcast, all of them. Subscribe wherever it's available, especially YouTube, and be sure to rate us 5 stars, leave a review if possible. That stuff helps so much, especially if you enjoyed the episode. It's a really good way for us to gauge the reception. So subscribe, rate us 5 stars. Stay tuned for what's coming next.
Yep, we have unlike our normal podcast where we can pretty much tell you this is happening this week, next week. This one, it's going to be a little bit of a space in between. I don't anticipate, weeks and weeks.
2 to 3 episodes a week like we do on Ruff Talk VR.
Yeah, don't think we're doing that this week. But stay tuned for sure. We'll make sure that word gets out when the next one's coming, so you're not, especially if there's some good announcements coming.
Yeah, and let us know, what you'd like to see on the show, whether that's Q&A segments or somebody in specific from the team you want us to talk about or talk to.
One of the numerous content creators that's just crushing it playing this game.
Yeah, let us know what you want to see from Tabor Radio, and stay tuned for episode 2 coming hopefully sooner rather than later.
Absolutely.
Ciao, ciao.